Salutations, my dearest friends. My name is Samantha, and today I'm going to be talking about some novellas that I think are perfect to read for the spooky season. Hello, how are you? Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back. How are you? How are you doing? It's fall season, besties. Yes, it is. Scary movies coming out. We have pumpkin spice out. Like it's fall. Yes, it is. Yes, ma'am. Today I'm going to be talking about some novellas that I think are perfect to read for the spooky season, but this is also going to be an announcement video because we are bringing back the Novellathon. Yes, ma'am. Novellathon is a readathon where we read a bunch of novellas. In the past, we have done themed read-alongs, like we did one during Valentine's Day, so now we're going to be doing one for Halloween because there is literally so many paranormal and spooky novellas that you can just sink your teeth into. I'm going to announce the dates for the Novellathon and talk about some of the prompts that we have, but mainly this is going to be just a recommendation video. I have like 15 different novellas to recommend to you guys. All of these books are paranormal, spooky, perfect for the fall season. I do have quite a few novella videos in general because they're just like some of my favorite books to read. I have a whole playlist that I will leave down below if you want to check it out. To host this read along with some of my friends, I will leave their channels down below. I host it with Tiffany from Tiff Talks Pages, Rachel from Rachel Reads and Sings, and Ava from Ava's Romance Books. They also love novellas and have tons of videos where they recommend their favorite novellas, so make sure to follow their channels. Some quick information about the read along. It is from October 16th to October 22nd. I do have different prompts and a bingo board and maybe even a surprise giveaway. So all of the graphics were made by Tiffany from Tiff Talks Pages, and you can find them on our Instagram if you want to save them. Anyone can join and you can read whatever you want, but we do have some prompts just to like help you out with your TBR. Some of the prompts are a book with a retelling, a book that gives cozy vibes, any book by a BIPOC author, LGBTQ books, books with demons, ghosts, shifters, witches, vampires, with disability rep, books that are set during the autumn, books that have fall colors on the cover, and then the last one is to just read a book with your favorite fall drink, which I feel like will be really easy for you guys. The books that I'm going to recommend in this video will fit honestly multiple prompts, reading sprints and live shows, and again that will all be announced on our Instagram. Our group book is Hollow by Nascosta. This is a spicy Headless Horseman retelling. Yeah. You guys know I love Nascosta. She's one of my favorite authors, and she writes monster romances, paranormal romances so freaking well, so I can't wait to dive into this one with you guys. Okay, guys, that is all of my updates, so let's go ahead and jump into the recommendations. I'm gonna try to give you these recommendations really quickly because we have a lot to go through. So the first one is Halloween Boo by Sarah Spade. This one I feel like is perfect because it's Halloween themed. So Sarah Spade has a series of novellas focused on different holidays. I know she has a Christmas one. Everyone moves into a new apartment and she starts to feel like there is a ghost in her apartment. It's like the movie Ghost. That's basically what this book is, but even steamier. There is a guy in her apartment, a ghost, and they have some fun times. I'm just gonna say that. Yeah, it's really fun and I feel like perfect to read during Halloween. Next few recommendations are gonna be vampire romances. You guys know I'm vampire obsessed. I have a Dracula tattoo right here on my arm. I love vampires. I love them. So one of my favorite vampire novellas is Sanguine by Sierra Simone. This is a male-male vampire romance. Our hero is a vampire hunter and he's sent on a mission to kill this other vampire who is our other hero. So it is a romance between a vampire and a vampire hunter, and it is just so much fun. Next up is Only One Coffin by A.J. Truman, and this is another male-male vampire romance between Magnus and Kilroy. Magnus has been a vampire for centuries. He has this tradition that during the holidays he retreats to the mountain for some quiet time. There is this really popular vampire hotel that he stays at. So when he goes to stay at this hotel like he does every year, there's a mix-up with the rooms. Double booking his room, and he has to share the hotel with our other hero, Kilroy, who is a freshly turned vampire. A little bit of a forced proximity, and it is also a grumpy sunshine trope. Our hero Magnus, who's been a vampire for a really long time, is a little bit jaded. Roy is like this very sunshine surfer dude, and they end up spending the holidays together, and it's so freaking cute. Next up is a relatively new release, and that is Craving the Alien Vampire by Rose Singh. This one is a paranormal alien romance. So our heroine is human and she is kidnapped by aliens to be sold kind of like on the black market, almost like a pleasure slave. This is where she meets our hero. He ends up bidding on her because he is actually undercover and he's looking for one of his old partners, and she might have information on like how he can find him. Also has a fated mates trope. This is the author's debut novel and I thought it was pretty good. Next up is A Mating the Huntress by Talia Hibbert. Oh my god, this one is so perfect to read during Halloween. This is a werewolf shifter romance. Heroine is a werewolf hunter, but she's never actually hunted any werewolves because her family believes that she's cursed. There was this prophecy given to her that her very first hunt would like end her. So she's trying to like really prove that the prophecy is not true. She ends up meeting a werewolf at the diner that she works at that happens to be her fated mate. So our hero is like obsessed with our heroine. Like, he knows they're fated mates. He literally is a cinnamon roll hero and wants to like worship the ground she walks on, but she's trying to kill him. So it follows their romance, a little bit of an enemies to lovers vibe, but it is so freaking sexy. You need to read it. It wouldn't be a recommendation video if I didn't recommend a poly romance. So one of my favorites is Three of Hearts by Lillian Lark. Oh my gosh, honestly, read any Lillian Lark. She has a Kraken romance that's so freaking good, but this one is a poly romance between a harpy, a werewolf, and a demon. That's literally all you need to know. That's all you need to know. It has a little bit of a suspense plot. There is someone who is hunting down different paranormal creatures and selling them on the black market. And there's a rumor that they are hunting for a harpy. So our heroine is in danger. And that is how she meets our two heroes, the werewolf and the demon. They were in a previous relationship with one another and they end up reconnecting and teaming up to help protect our heroine, but it forms a polyamorous romance. I love this one so much because it was such a well-written, well-balanced polyamorous romance, especially for it being a novella. I'm just a really big fan of Lillian Lark in general. Okay, so next up I have two Beauty and the Beast retellings. This one is His Beauty by Jack Harvin. This is a pretty direct Beauty and the Beast retelling. Our heroine's father ends up getting into some trouble. She kind of sacrifices herself and ends up living with this beast. Lives in his gothic mansion and they're also trying to protect themselves because the people from the town are hunting him down. Twist on this Beauty and the Beast retelling is one, the beast never shifts. Okay, he is in his beastly form the whole time. Okay, very steamy. And then our heroine is just like really badass and really takes even more agency. I feel like Beauty and the Beast already has a very powerful, strong, independent heroine, but with this retelling she's even more badass and even more independent. And the next one is Briarly by Aster Glenn and Gray. It's a male-male romance and it takes place during World War II. So our hero, who is the beast, he's almost kind of like a dragon a little bit. The hero is making his way back home to visit his daughter and ends up stopping to take some roses from the beast's garden, and he's real upset. Okay, the beast is mad. Basically traps him there in the mansion, but it becomes apparent that the beast is very lonely and just craves companionship. So it follows their friendship at first. It definitely is a friends to lovers romance, pretty slow burn, but I just think the writing is so incredibly beautiful. Now, I love novellas that are steamy, spicy, quick reads. There are so many novellas that do everything a full-length novel is doing. It has the character development, it has that like achingly beautiful writing and romance, and I feel like this is one of those books. It's not lacking in any way and it is so freaking romantic. Next up is Heat Haven by Sarah Blue. Sarah Blue is another author that I am a huge fan of. This is the first book in one of her Omegaverse series, and I talk about Omegaverse a lot on my channel. It's basically like an enhanced version of shifter romances and fated mates, and a lot of times people don't really understand like the universe or they don't know where to start, and I feel like this is such a good place to start because the universe is explained perfectly. Heroine is an Omega and she's about to go into heat. So she goes to this facility called Heat Haven that assists Omegas when they don't have alphas to attend to them during their heat. It's a poly romance, by the way, but the book starts off with her meeting the very first alpha and they have a instant connection. They end up getting stuck in the elevator at the Heat Haven facility and have some fun steamy times. Remind that this book is intended for you to read the entire series, so the end of the book kind of leads into the second book, but I still think it is such a good place to start when it comes to Omegaverse. Next up is Feed by Avita Weiss, and this one would fit the prompt for a demon romance. So our heroine is the demon in this book. She is a succubus, so she craves and feeds off sexual energy. She's hungry in the beginning of this book. Okay, she needs to feed. So she goes on an app that is built for monsters to go on the app, helps monsters and paranormal creatures satisfy their needs. For a vampire, you can get someone to donate their blood. If you're a werewolf, you can have someone help you through like your heat or your rut. She is a succubus, so she goes on the app and is matched with someone, and when they show up at her door, it ends up being her co-worker. Grumpy co-worker that she hates. They have an enemies to lovers vibe, but he is perfect for what she needs. Okay, this one is so steamy. So freaking steamy. They play with some sexy toys and it's just it's a good time. So I highly recommend it. Next one is an Audible original. So this is a short audiobook, and it is What the Hex by Alexis Daria. This would fit the prompt if you're looking for a witch romance. So our heroine is a fashion designer, comes from a long line of witches that live on a land that is protected by their magic, and only people with magic can live there. Ends up moving out of her hometown because she's a fashion designer and she's really like building her career, but also she hasn't told any of her family, but she's losing pieces of her magic. Years pass by and her sister is getting married. So back to her hometown to be there for her sister's wedding, and there's something sinister happening on the island. Magic is being drained. Her family isn't acting like they normally do, having to work with the best man to figure out what's going on. But our hero is her like high school nemesis. They were always competing in high school, enemies to lovers vibes, but it follows their romance and it's really fun. Next is Two Scoops of Hellfire by Kimberly Lemming. This is another demon romance. It takes place during the pandemic, and our heroine is trying to teach herself how to bake. Okay, we all went there. We all try to bake bread and crochet and knit and pick up just random crafts and hobbies. So that's what she's doing, trying to teach herself how to bake, and it ends up going so horribly that somehow, some way, she ends up summoning a demon to her living room. Yeah, she ends up summoning this demon to her living room, and they have a fun, sexy time. This one is really short, like maybe 40 to 60 pages, and Kimberly Lemming's writing is just so humorous and fun, but also sexy, steamy, and romantic. Next up is Little Green Vibes by Britt Andrews. This is a sapphic romance. Our heroine lives in a cabin in the woods, and there is a forest like next to her that everyone always tells her not to go into because it is possessed by a demon. But she is just like so drawn to this forest, goes in there, and of course she gets captured by our sexy demon who is a woman, and they have a lot of fun times. I'm just gonna tell you that right now. By the way, almost like all of the books that I'm mentioning are either available on Audible or Kindle Unlimited if you have those subscriptions. So the next two aren't technically paranormal, but they give those vibes, so I'm gonna recommend them anyways. Next one is I've Walked Where You've Been Before by Marina Vivancos, and you guys know Marina Vivancos is my favorite author ever, like top favorite authors ever. She has a ton of novellas on Kindle Unlimited that you should check out. So for this one, it takes place in a universe where fated mates are the norm. Everyone has a fated mate, everyone has a soulmate, and most people meet their soulmate in like their 20s, but our two heroes actually meet each other when they're so young. They're like maybe 9-10 years old, and you meet your soulmate. You physically cannot be apart from them for long periods of time. You need that connection or you will get a bond mate sickness. You will get physically ill. They are forced to be together all the time. At school, at home, on vacation, literally all the time, and they're polar opposites. They hate that they're like forced to be together all the time, and it isn't until they're about to enter college that they're like, hey, let's try to figure out why the universe paired us together and like make the best of the situation. So they do. Heavy on the enemies to lovers, heavy on the fated mate, soulmate energy, and it is so freaking good. And the last one I want to recommend is His Muse by Casey Mint. I wanted to recommend one that was fall vibes but wasn't just paranormal, and this is a stalker romance. Our heroine travels with a band, a very popular band, and she sells their merchandise. She's kind of like a roadie. She feels like someone is watching her, and that person is the band's songwriter. So our hero is like this very tortured artist who is absolutely obsessed with our heroine and ends up stalking her like throughout the entire tour, and even when she goes back home, knows that it's him, and she's like totally into it. Okay, all right guys, those are all my recommendations. I feel like I've been talking for a long time. Honestly, I have so many more. Okay, I really do. So I'll probably do a part 2 to this video, or maybe a trope week very soon. So you know what, I probably will do a trope week very soon. If you don't know what trope week is on my channel, it is where I take a whole week, and every single day I pick one specific romance trope and give a bunch of recommendations based on that trope. So I'm gonna do one for the fall season, so let me know down below what tropes you want me to do, and I'll talk to you guys later. I hope you enjoyed the video. As always, thank you for taking time out of your day to spend time with me. It means the world to me. I hope you guys are all staying happy and healthy, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!